Hi, everybody. It's Donna Brown, and I'm here today with Sabrina Philipp, a social media strategist and business coach. And she has a really, really interesting point of view, I think, about how she deals with social media. And she's just one of the people that is on my, I don't want to say on my team, but that I work with closely when I do work with clients. Just because I think there's a nice synergy with the way we see things. And there's also, okay, you'll see Kathy Lowenstern on the screen, and she's my Facebook magician and the ad magician. And these are just a couple of people that, as I said, this whole series, this mastermind series, was so that you could get to know some of the experts that I do work with, but also get an idea of what it feels like to be in sort of a collaborative situation where everybody is talking about your business in a way that is, relevant to you and all pulling together for you. So anyway, so today, right now, since there are no guests to ask us to pummel her with questions, we'll let Sabrina say a couple of words about herself. And then I thought we'd dive in a little bit about talking about what's happening with each of the different platforms and how she sees, trends and ways to show up in style. So
Sure.
welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you, Donna, for introducing me. I'm really excited to be here and to be talking with you guys about social media. As Donna mentioned, I'm a social media strategist and a coach. And one thing I feel a lot of times when I see with all clients, whether it's, managing their social media or giving them some training so that they have the tools to, work with it themselves, is that people get really stressed and overwhelmed with social media. And I think that the root cause of that is misinformation, where maybe people are just inundated with all these blog posts that they're reading on Pinterest, and it's all these conflicting strategies, and people get overwhelmed, or people just aren't being told the right things, and then they never gain any traction and they get disempowered and lose hope. And so I'm going to talk about a couple of strategies that you can do with each platform and some trends to keep in mind.
Okay,
and I think for a lot of us, the way that we initially connect with people these days is through Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And so one question I get a lot is, do you think Facebook groups are dying? And I don't necessarily think Facebook groups are dying, but I do think that they're getting very saturated and just, pummeled with all these different posts from people. And so a big mistake I see a lot of people make is they post and they run. And so because the way that the Facebook algorithm works, if you aren't interacting with other people, whether it be before you post or after you post, or engaging with people who comment on your own posts, then when you do post something, it's not going to get the same level of visibility than if you had decided to engage and create community with people. And that being said, if you do create those particular relationships with people, they're going to be more likely to see your content in their feed. So if there is someone that you want to build a relationship with or possibly pursue as a client, it's always a good idea to make sure that you're connecting with people.
Yeah.
Another thing I see.
But that I was just going to say that, but that's something that all the group leaders say is, please don't post and run. Please don't post and run.
Yes.
Please don't post and run. So a lot of people have become deaf to that. But as somebody who tries to be present in a lot of groups, like you could literally spend hours commenting. And if you really want to nurture relationships, because it's actually also a lot of fun. Literally hours and hours and hours can go by. So how do you time manage that sort of engagement? So I don't know what you're going to say next, but I'm going to just jump in with that question.
Sure. Yeah, great question. So what I say is to, before you post anything, go back and like and comment on 10 posts, or maybe the number you want to do is 5 posts, but pick a set number. That way you aren't just mindlessly scrolling, but you have sort of a clear plan of, okay, I'm going to engage with a few posts, I'm going to leave my content, and then I'm going to go back to work. So I think that's something good to keep in mind, just so that you don't get stuck into that, mindless Facebook group feed. And obviously, if you have your own Facebook group, you're going to see much higher engagement because you are positioned as that authority and that expert leader. So if you are a Facebook group leader, I think a few things that you can do are, one, make sure that your image is in the Facebook group header. I think that is going to convert very well for you, just because people are going to be able to put a face with a name and understand that you're the leader. Also have some sort of opt-in or freebie in the descriptions for the rules. But we need to be engaging with Facebook groups in a smarter way. And so if you also have that plan of, okay, I'm going to engage with 10 posts before I post my own, have a plan for what type of posts you're going to be sharing. Are you going to be sharing sales posts? Are you going to be sharing inspirational posts, a quote, a value post, a teaching post? You can go through all of your previous content that you've shared in other groups separate it into different types. And then you can make a plan for what you're going to post each week, based on the categories, and then just pull from that content bank. And so that's another way to make posting in Facebook groups much simpler, but you also feel like you're getting more traction because you see, I am teaching people something, I am providing value, but I am still trying to make sales and connection. So I would say that's also something to keep in mind as you engage with the groups.
Excellent. Yikes. That's big noise. It might have been Kathy. Might be you. I'm going to mute you, Kathy. Okay. For the moment. Okay. Just for the moment. Anyways, so that's interesting. And how many groups do you hang out in, or do you recommend hanging out in if you are in, if you have your own group and you're trying to grow your own group? And how is an elegant way to get people into your group? Because most of the time you're not allowed to invite, right, in other areas. So how do you do that?
Definitely. So in terms of first your question of how many groups you should hang out in, I think that's a personal question just because you're the only person who knows how many can I comfortably manage. So I have some clients who, they want to be in 10 to 15 groups. So I make sure that they post in 10 to 15 groups. There are other people who can't handle more than 5 groups, and that's perfectly fine. Just make sure that if you're engaging with a smaller number of groups, that the amount that you're engaging is a little bit higher so that you're more visible. That being said, however the groups are, make sure that you're very clear on what is and isn't allowed in groups. So those clients who have larger amounts of groups that they want to interact in, what I do is I break it down into what I call Group A, Group B, Group C, which is basically Group A is a group you can pitch free offers and a group you can pitch sales offers, like actual paid offers and free offers. Group B is just free offers, no paid offers. And Group C is the groups that are like, you can't post your logo, you can't post free, you can't post a link, like the really harsh groups. Like, have that very clearly mapped out so that you know what you can post in each group. And that makes it easier as well, because I think what people tend to do is those groups that have more restrictions, there's actual more authentic engagement because they actually have to, ask questions and try and build relationships.
Yeah.
In terms of starting your own group, that's also something to keep in mind. If you have that spreadsheet and you say, okay, well, I can talk about my group in these groups, but I can't in that. So I definitely think that leading with value and teaching is something that's super important. So you can talk about why you started the group. You can talk about a free offer or challenge that you're having specifically in that group. I think collaboration is definitely an amazing opportunity to grow a group. So what some people do, for example, is they'll partner up and they'll say, I'm the leader of Group A and Donna's the leader of Group B, and I'll say, Donna Brown is giving away this amazing offer if you sign up for her challenge. Here's the link to her group. And then, Donna might do something similar for me. So there's that even energy exchange where we're trying to directing people to each other's group. So I'm actually going to be launching my own group in 2 weeks. And one plan that I have for that is I'm going to be creating a lead page that I'm going to be basically have it be a waiting list so people can put their email address in, and then I'll email them when the group launches. And then, when the group does come up, I'm going to be, talking about it for a little bit time ahead of them. And then when it does come, I'm going to be, live streaming every day and letting other groups that I know do allow that information, me talking about it, what I'm going to be sharing and bringing them in. And I think a lot of the groundwork that I've done beforehand of connecting with people in groups is going to translate very well, because anytime I've mentioned starting a group, people are saying, sign me up, where do I go? So that really speaks to the power of actually, not just posting and running, but taking the time. And so maybe you don't feel comfortable right now posting in groups. Maybe you have some sort of limiting beliefs about visibility. So then what I would say is take use of the search bar in a group. So for example, I'm really big on social media. So I might go into Donna's group and search social media and what pops up. And if anyone has a question, I can go ahead and answer it for them. And, not only did I just build a connection, but I also established myself as an expert because I'm answering their question. And that's definitely not a time to pitch people, I would say.
No.
You can pitch them later if the conversation, really continues and they express an interest. But if you just give free value, you would be amazed at the returns that you get.
Lovely. Perfect. Anything else you'd like to tell us about Facebook?
Definitely start your own Facebook group if you haven't already, just because that is going to be your source of clients. It's also an amazing area to do market research, figure out what is it that the people in your community are interested in. You can ask them directly. Do you want to work with me one-on-one via masterclasses? Do you want to work with me in group coaching programs? You know, do you want me to do done for you offers? You can really ask people what it is they're looking for. I saw a coach today who said that she's going to do a retreat. You know, do you want something more in the city or something more in the outdoors? And so, you know, there was an overwhelming preference. And if she had never asked, then maybe she wouldn't get as high signups for the retreat when she does announce it. So definitely take the time to research and to engage with people in your own group.
Excellent. Next platform. What's the next platform you have in mind?
I would definitely say Instagram, and obviously Facebook and Instagram are very closely linked. But Instagram, it's been so interesting to watch over the past few months, just because Instagram tried to buy Snapchat and Snapchat said no. So Instagram went ahead and they came out with Instagram stories, and now Instagram is also rolling out Instagram Live. And they're bringing a lot of these cool features from other platforms into Instagram. And so one of the reasons why I really love Instagram is it's not necessarily a place to pitch people. It's a great place if you want to sell a product that's under $300 or some sort of, if you're a product-based business. I've worked with a lot of Etsy sellers. Instagram's great for them. But if you're someone who is, you know, works in high-end coaching or high-ticket service provider, then Instagram is a way just to build brand authority and build relationships. And one of the statistics that I really love is that Instagram followers are 58 times more likely to engage with you than Facebook. And so this is talking about the distinction between, you know, a brand that's on Instagram and a brand that is on Facebook. So a Facebook page, not a Facebook group. But, you know, we are now trained to avoid Facebook. Even Facebook hides them in our algorithm. Whereas with Instagram, you have that different ability to really connect with people. And so you can share all sorts of different information. You can talk about, you know, behind the scenes, what is your process? You can, you know, share something that's inspirational. You know, sometimes you can't communicate with them. So Instagram is a little bit different than that you can really reach out to people and, you know, search for them directly. Because if you're a Facebook business page, you might not necessarily be able to connect with another user. But if you're an Instagram user, and assuming that person doesn't have their profile on private, you know, you can go out and you can search for people via hashtags, and you can really go find people and build your niche and community very strongly, very quickly. So I really like Instagram. I think it's definitely something to be on the lookout for.
That's interesting. And so in your communications, you do them below in the comments? Is it like some people do long posts? I see in the first comment. Some of them are pretty long.
Yeah. So first talking about captions, and then I'll talk about hashtags. So when it comes to captions, there's no correlation between caption length and engagement. So if you're afraid that they're too short, don't worry about that. What I would say is if you're a completely new account, you need to experiment, and you need to be tracking to see what gets more types of engagement. You know, maybe people are really responding well to quotes. Maybe people are really responding well to long form or to something short style that you know you like, then go down that, because you know you want people to be attracted to your style if they're going to invest in you and work with you. So that's what I would say about captions. You know, keep off more than
we lost you a bit here. I think you might have to repeat that.
Sure, I'll repeat that.
Okay.
If people see more than 2 hashtags in a caption, they drop off. So what I would say is instead, you know,
we've lost you again.
Lost me again?
Okay, so if you have 2 hashtags in a caption?
Sure. More than 2 hashtags, people drop off and they keep scrolling. You know, it's too much for their eyes. They just don't want to read all of that. So instead, Instagram has a limit of 30 hashtags, but actually they're thinking about reducing it to 4. So definitely capitalize now while you still can. But take that, you know, list of 30 hashtags, save it as a note on your phone, and then just copy and paste it as the first caption, because since the text is so long, Instagram is going to shorten it, and then people won't see it when they're scrolling through, but you still get the effect. Another really great thing you can do to maximize visibility is to geotag your post if you're in a specific location. That also increases engagement by 10%, I believe. So there's a lot of different little things that you can do. But ultimately, again, if you're brand new to Instagram, you need to experiment to see what works best. You can look at your analytics, either if you have an Instagram for Business account or if you use some other third-party app. Iconosquare is really popular. And then once you do have an idea of what works well, then stick with that for, maybe 60 days, 90 days, and then reassess and see how that strategy is performing. And if you do find that people like a mix, then you can stick with the mix. But a lot of it's just going back to the analytics and seeing what it's saying.
Excellent. So everybody needs analytics of some kind.
Yes. And I don't think that analytics needs to be so detailed or overwhelming. From a very, broken down idea, it's, what is performing well. And so if you see that this picture you have of a selfie in front of a statue got 100 likes and all of your other pictures got 20 likes and all those other pictures are flowers or something, then, maybe you can assume that people want to see actually me and they want to engage more with me. Or maybe you saw that that caption was a quote that people really loved. Or maybe it was something more personal and long form or a teaching post. Look at what it is about these posts that are performing, better than others, and try and find those common threads. And it might be that they're posted at a certain time of day, but that's something that you can figure out pretty easily, I would say. So it's not something you need to be stressing out about.
Okay. So, but have fun with it, basically, because I think a lot of it turns into chores, and because just the sheer quantity, this is sort of in the middle of the whole thing, but, to take on all platforms all at once is definitely overwhelming. So I think it's also useful to sort of focus for a while on something until you have at least a little bit of a rhythm and a feeling for what you like to do, what what works for you and what works for the people, and then move to somewhere else. How much time would you dedicate to each platform before you decide to go dominate another one? Just a rough idea.
What I would say is, instead of sort of like focusing on one platform at a time, then moving to the next, pick the ones that you do want to engage with. So maybe for you, it's, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Start with all of those and then gradually increase your engagement with each of them over time, instead of dominating one and then moving on to the next, because you might find that by the time you move on, the analytics have changed, or the game has changed, or now there's a new platform. So for example, we were talking about Instagram. There's a study and it was talking about the top 100 brands, and most brands, it looks like, only post about 4 times a week. And so I see some people who are like, you have to post on Instagram 3 times a day. That's just simply not the case. What you need is consistency. So if you are finding that you can't post every single day, or maybe you do post, twice a day, every day, because you're feeling super motivated, it's January 1st, and then after 2 weeks you drop off and we don't hear from you again in 2 months, then your following is going to drop off and any momentum that you're building is going to drop off. But if you find that, I can post Monday through Friday and that works for me, then just stick with that. The same with the other platforms. If on your Facebook page, all you can do is a few times a week, then do that. And then, as you get more comfortable with these platforms and more familiar, you're going to find ways to increase your engagement, whether that be working with a social media manager or with a social media scheduler, or maybe you just feel more comfortable. So, naturally your organic engagement, it gets easier the more that you interact with it. But if you just sort of go all in to one platform and you ignore the rest, then you might find that you get a little bit left behind.
Mm-hmm. Great. That's a very good explanation. It's still, because I said, I think a lot of people feel daunted. So it's better to start out where you want to go a little bit with everybody and increase as you go. So,
right? Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Good. Got that. We all wrote that down. Okay. I love Instagram, by the way. I don't know. It's just, I just like Instagram. Yeah. And I think I just really like it. That's I would say it's my favorite.
Yeah, Instagram is great and it's growing so quickly. And I think just the visual sharing aspect of it is so important, because it's not just people sending you, to my website, to my sales page, join my Facebook group, do this, do that. It's just a picture. It's just a moment in time and a story behind it. So keep that in mind with your Instagram. Try and tell stories, or, try and inspire people, try and make them laugh, try and make them think, instead of just trying to sell to them all the time.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about the stories. How long are those? Here, I'm trying to look at the stories, but I'm looking at the settings. I'm not going to do that.
You mean the Instagram stories feature?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you've been on Snapchat, then you might be a little bit familiar with Instagram stories, but basically the concept is that you can post a picture or a video to an Instagram story feed that disappears after 24 hours. So it's different from Instagram Live, which is where you can go live and you can talk for however long you want. And then that disappears. This is going to be around for 24 hours and it's short snippets. And so one mistake I see people make with Instagram stories is they just post video after video after video after video, and people get a little bit bored and they drop off. So if you just want to talk, then go ahead and go live. But instead, it's better to offer, a mix of short snippets into something. So, if you're a food blogger, for example, and you want to share with people a recipe, what you could do is you could put an image that says, snap, I'm doing my recipe for ginger tea, screenshot the next snaps, and then maybe it has a picture of the ginger before you peel it, and it says half a pound of raw ginger peeled, and then the next thing it's like it needs to go into the water for 30 minutes, or maybe you can do a short video of the water boiling. There's so many fun things that you can do, but just play around with it, mix around with it. But if you're just having a video of yourself talking, saying first you peel the ginger, then you slice the ginger, then you put the ginger in the water, then you have it boiling, people are going to get really bored and they're going to drop off. So this is the time to be creative. And so Instagram stories makes that really easy because they have this feature, to change the filter. You can draw, you can add text, you can put stickers, you can do filters. There's so many fun things that you can do with it. So be creative, but just keep it short.
Excellent. Good idea. And who's getting Instagram Live? Who's got that already? Just sort of spot people, or just sort of a...
It typically what happens is everything rolls out with the US first, and then Europe and Asia follow. But Instagram Live should be available to all of our American friends. And it's actually available to me as well, and I'm in Asia.
Oh, that's exciting. I have to, where do you even find that? We're going to have to find this. So now I'm like staring at my phone saying, so where do I find that?
Yeah. If you go ahead and go into your Instagram, everything tends to be in the top left corner. So if you're going to go ahead, I'll go ahead and pull up Instagram and I can show you all. But if you see right here, there's my profile picture with a little blue button. I can go ahead and click on that. And then from there, what it says is it says normal. And from there, I can just take a picture. I can switch to Boomerang, which Boomerang is this feature where what it does is it takes a video and then it puts it on a continuous loop. You can also then switch over to the left and it says live, and it'll say start live video. And then from there you can go, yes, you do. So from there you can go ahead and go live on Instagram.
Oh my God, that's dangerous. Okay. That's so cool and fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Things you learn. Thank God I talked to you today.
Yeah. And so if you want to go ahead. Yeah. And if you want to watch your live story, or go ahead and watch your Instagram story to see, what have I posted in the past 24 hours, always look in the top left corner. So if that means you're on your profile page, you'll be able to click on your profile image and see everything. Or if you're just in the feed, again, check the top left corner. But that's where you can add things, and where you can go live is only on the feed.
So what do you think is going to happen with Instagram Live? Are people using it a lot? And how do people know that you have to have your notifications on for that person to catch their live streams, right? Otherwise they kind of just die, right?
Well, people get notifications. So if you're following someone, so Instagram is still being a little bit liberal with it, where, even with Facebook, if you are interacting with someone a lot, maybe you're not necessarily subscribed to be notified when they get live, you might still get a notification. Instagram's being very liberal with Instagram Live, where if someone that you're following goes live, then you're going to get a short notification. Maybe you're not on Instagram, so you don't see it, but people can subscribe to go ahead and follow you. But yeah, so people will get notified when you're live, and it's just like Instagram or Facebook Live. You're going to see, who's joined. People can comment. So it's a really fun way to engage with people that way.
Do you find that the live stream content there is any different than what you should be doing on Facebook Live, or more or less the same thing, or it should be a little more condensed?
I think definitely
on
more
Facebook,
condensed.
People have getting all excited, and they'll do like 1.5 hour live streams or something.
Yeah. I think that Facebook Live is more of an opportunity for selling pitching, teaching. Instagram Live, it's more of an opportunity to take people behind the scenes of your business. You can maybe, so for example, I could do an Instagram Live, from the Singapore airport, and I could talk about, being an expat entrepreneur, but for 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then I would hop off. So it's something short. It's, I don't really say, guys, I'm an expat entrepreneur. That's not necessarily a unique selling point that I put out there. It is a fun fact about me, but that's something that I can, it's unique to my brand that I can connect with people that way. Yeah. Whereas if I were to do a Facebook Live, maybe I would do a 30-minute Facebook Live, talking all about the new Instagram features, and people could ask me questions, and it's more interactive that way. You can still interact with Instagram Live the same way, but I think some people are finding it doesn't have the same reach just because they haven't taken the time to invest in growing their Instagram yet.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Excellent. So from there, we might as well talk about the sort of the dirty cousin Snapchat that half the people don't understand, as in me.
Yeah.
I'm still like, my kids have explained it to me 3 times, and and they said, but I've already told you. It's like, well, if I'm asking you, I obviously didn't get it. So Snapchat eludes me. How's Snapchat doing?
Snapchat's still doing well. I don't think that Snapchat's going to die just because Snapchat really has market specifically on that younger generation. They have Snapchat on lock. And I think it's really nice about Snapchat is that I feel like there's more of a interpersonal interaction, whereas with Instagram, it feels like it's more broadcasting, whether it be Instagram Live where you're broadcasting to all of your followers, or you add a story, which is, broadcasting to all your followers. I mean, I have much fewer people on Snapchat than I do on Instagram. You have all those fun filters on Snapchat where you send silly pictures to your friends, things like that. So Snapchat, again, if you're on Instagram stories, you might as well get on Snapchat. And so what you can actually do is you can download and save your images before you add them either to your Snapchat story or your Instagram story. And then you can hop over to that other platform and share that exact same image so that it's in both places. And I think one thing that's also really unique about Snapchat is that you can direct message the people that you follow. So, for example, there are these bloggers that I love. They're very successful. They've been featured on Gary Vaynerchuk's, Ask Gary V podcast. They're very popular. And so if they post a Snapchat of themselves, for example, skiing in Aspen, I can go ahead and message them directly. And every single time they always message me back. Whereas with Instagram, there's a little bit more of a separation just because it's such a flood of people that you just have all these notifications. Whereas Snapchat, it's a little bit more one-on-one. But if you're overwhelmed, then I would say stick with Instagram stories for now. Just because, again, Snapchat is more geared toward that younger generation. I mean, anyone can be on Snapchat for sure.
I could be offended.
But I mean, the thing now is like Snapchat really is for like kids. That's like how it got popular. That's how it started. And with all platforms, eventually everyone follows suit and everyone joins. I mean, if, for example, look at Pinterest, like the women over 40 market is dominating Pinterest. Like they're all over it. And that's not something people would have expected when it first came out at all. You would definitely think that it's something for women. But 5 years ago, it would have been completely surprising. So anyone can be on Snapchat, of course. But again, if you feel like there's too many platforms, stick with Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, and you can do your lives and your stories on Instagram. And you can also go live on Facebook. So you have lots of different opportunities. But if it's too many platforms and you can't be consistent with it, then you need to cut something down.
Yeah, that's a good advice. So where are we? What platforms do we have left? Pinterest.
We can talk about Pinterest. Yeah.
Let's talk about Pinterest.
Okay. So one thing I hear a lot about Pinterest is, I don't know how to use Pinterest for business. And so the thing about Pinterest is it's just like the other platforms. You have to be consistent about it. Yeah. Pinterest can be really confusing.
I just got stuck at the mason jar thing.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people, when they make Pinterest, it's, because they're planning a wedding or because they want to pin recipes or something like that. And so that's how I want people to think of it. Just like you would go searching for all of those pins, you need to treat Pinterest as a search engine. So what works well in the Google search engine? SEO, you need to optimize your content so that it appears in the smart feed. So the Pinterest algorithm is called the smart feed. With Facebook, it's edge rank. With Pinterest, it's a smart feed. So there are a few ways that you can optimize yourself to perform higher in the smart feed. One is when you go ahead and set up your profile. Instead of, for example, just writing Sabrina Philipp as my name, I would go ahead and write Sabrina Philipp, social media strategist, because those words, social media, are now connected to my name and the profile. The other thing that I can do is make sure that I have straightforward board names. So sometimes what I'll see people do is, for example, with the recipes board, they'll put, from the kitchen or tasty delights. And, that's beautiful, it's great, but that's not what people are searching for. You need to think keywords. And so if you do decide, what, absolutely not, like, that's part of my brand, I like, the more feminine descriptions or the more ambiguous descriptions, then with your board descriptions, which have a 500 character limit, make sure that you go ahead and add those direct and straight to the point words. So if you're doing a board on recipes, go into the Pinterest search engine and type, recipes. And what it's going to do is it's going to pop up underneath a list of words that people are also searching that's associated with that. So if you are searching recipes and you see, healthy recipes is trending, then you would take that healthy recipes and write it into your board description. And so you might find, healthy recipes, avocados. Avocado toast is super popular. Maybe you find that that's one of the keywords that's popping up. Go ahead and add all of that stuff in there. A board description is not the place to go ahead and write, these are my favorite recipes. Just really go ahead and take the time to optimize that.
Okay. We lost you there, but you were just saying, these are my favorite recipes, blah, 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 that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not that kind of thing. So it's not discursive. It's really just
keywords.
Almost like keywords. It's almost like a hashtag thing, almost.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to describe it. Yeah.
Okay. So very to the point. So if you want to go all fancy schmancy with your titles. So are your titles of pin boards like really brutal in that sense? Like, I don't know. Do something in the coaching thing, because these are all food and whatever. So what about a coach? Because food is easy and products are easy. Lost you.
Can you hear me now, Donna?
Okay, now I can, yeah.
Okay, so instead of, for example, writing something like online entrepreneurship, I would write business tips. And then you can take that word online entrepreneurship and you can put it as in the board description.
Right.
But if you find that when you search business tips, what people are searching is, productivity or social media management or, how to set up a business or how to design a website, take all of those words and put it into that board description. The same thing if you do a social media board, add the word Facebook, Instagram, email marketing, social media automation, like all of these different things. And so sometimes phrases also do really well. So it might be, how to set up a blog, for example.
Yeah, a how-to thing.
Yeah, or how to pay taxes as a blogger. Like there's all sorts of different phrases that you can go ahead and add in there.
So are you advising people to put a lot of pinnable images from their website? Because that's also a thing, right? When you're doing your website, there's a choice to make images pinnable on your own website so that people can repin from your website.
Yeah. So one trick that I advise any WordPress users is to download the plugin Social Warfare. And so what it does is it allows you to add a pinnable image, but it's a secret image. So what I mean by that is maybe you have an image for a blog post title, but it's just a typical small vertical image, whereas horizontal images do really well on Pinterest. What it will do is when you go ahead and pin that article, that horizontal,
I think you got it backwards. I think it's backwards. Horizontal is the website and vertical is the Pinterest.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm completely backwards. You're right, Donna.
That's okay.
Thank you. Vertical pin, long pin, long pin.
We lost. Sorry, we lost that. So you were saying that the websites are typically horizontal images and pins are always sort of long and narrow,
vertical.
Right?
Yes.
So you were just about to say?
Yes.
Social warfare. Sabrina, it must be really important because that's the second time we lost it.
You know, I feel like the best, like when I'm like, oh yes, and then it gets cut off.
I know. It's like when you have something really important to say. We lost it again about the social warfare thing. That's twice. So take the third time a charm. Go for it.
Time's a charm. Okay, so social warfare is this plugin where what happens is at the bottom of a blog post, and you can do this with every platform, where it can have a pre-written tweet blog post. It can have a Facebook optimized image and the of
that's cool.
So then when you go, oh, am I gone again?
Yeah.
You're back.
Hello?
Okay, now you're back. Yeah.
Okay.
So this works for all platforms.
It works with all platforms. So you can just go ahead and
so when it's shared, it's optimized.
We still don't have you, Sabrina. Okay. You there?
I'm here.
Doesn't sound like it. Yeah. Hi. Okay.
Yes. So.
Okay. We missed all that. But anyways, okay. Last bit. Basically, Kathy's saying it's optimized. Each thing that with this, you optimize for each format.
Yes. So you'll have like pre-written a Facebook post or a pre-written tweet. So when someone goes to share it to that platform, there's an automatic suggestion of what to share that's optimized for that platform.
Oh, perfect.
That's cool.
That's great. That's really cool. That's fun. Yeah. And you have to write those, right? You have to set them up. That's cool though.
Yeah.
But once they're done, it's done.
If you're going to be sharing that blog post on your Facebook anyway, then you're going to have that pre-written. Or if you're going to tweet about it. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. And so from selling products is pretty straightforward on Pinterest, I would assume. But for getting people to get onto discovery calls or getting people into, onto your landing page or your opt-in page or something, what are the strategies from Pinterest? Or what do you have to do that's different on Pinterest than you would from, let's say, a Facebook post inviting people to join?
Sure. So you can do a couple of different things. What I would say is if, for example, you're a coach and you're brand new to Pinterest, you need to build some time actually building up your Pinterest. And that's regardless of the content you're sharing. You could be sharing just recipes, but the thing with Pinterest is a lot of engagement, a lot of followers. It's going to favor your account when you do decide to share a pin that goes back to a blog post or to a landing page or something like that. I think blogging is a really great strategy that coaches can utilize just because they can have, maybe they have a teaching post that they share on Facebook. They can, copy and paste that, put it onto their blog, and then just make a pinnable image that describes, very catchy what they're talking about, and then drives people to their website. And then they can have an email capture section or a discovery call section. So blogging is one way that's definitely super helpful. Another is that if someone is, for example, doing an email challenge or a 5-day challenge or giving something away, they can also do an image advertising that and then send them to a landing page where you can capture their email. And then maybe at the thank you page, you could have an opportunity to sign up for a discovery call. So that's sort of an area where a lot of it's just about the funnel that you're setting up and the customer experience that you're setting up. What some people do is they also will make images about their Facebook groups. So you can send people to your Facebook groups. I think it's much easier if you send people, or much more converting if you send people first to a landing page where you either maybe give them an opt-in or a little information about the group, and then they have the opportunity to join the group. But I think a lot of people will see that if they just send people to a page with just an email capture and very little information, it won't convert as well, which is why blogging is really helpful, or maybe a little bit of a longer form sales page. So if you're, for example, doing a big launch, then what you can go ahead and do is you can send people to landing pages that talk about challenges. Or if you're doing a mastermind session like this, for example, if you have a page about that, then you can send them to that. But you aren't going to see that engagement if you haven't first taken the time to build your Pinterest. And the nice thing about Pinterest is Pinterest builds very, very quickly if you're consistent with it. And that's the other thing. Like if you're super stressed about all the platforms, don't even think about using Pinterest for in terms of, promoting your business for the first 2 months. Just really go about, adding a lot of pins, being consistent, adding all of those search terms, really optimizing the profile. And then when you do go ahead and start adding some of that content, it's going to perform much better. And that also takes a little bit of the pressure off of you.
Yeah.
You're just worried about building up the followers and things like that.
Yeah. So what kind of how much original content? Because I know people repin like crazy, so it's somebody else's content. What percentage of it should be your own original content?
Some people like the 80%, 20% rule.
You're not supposed to laugh.
Hello?
Hi, Sabrina. It's 80-20, but 80 repins and 20 original.
20 original. That might seem like a lot. That might seem like a lot. And the other thing is, I think that I advocate for a much higher amount of repinning. So if I'm telling you to, add 50 repins a day, maybe you don't have, 10 original pins to add each day. So you kind of have to keep it in perspective. I think just actually growing the account as much as possible is the strategy that I advocate for, because the way that Pinterest looks at profiles is they look at the quality of the profile. They look at what types of links are they sharing. Are they broken links? Are they going to trusted websites? Are people repinning what they're repinning? And so you have to build up the credibility of your profile first in the eyes of the smart feed. So if you decide that, I have this board on Italian desserts and it's performed super well, pin to that thing 50 times a day. Go crazy with it, because when you do add something about your business, which all of your followers are going to see, unless they're specifically subscribed to that board, it's going to do so much better than if you decide, I'm just going to go with business stuff, but nobody ever looks at my profile. Get creative with it, find different ways to drive engagement to it.
Right.
And so, maybe you don't have 10, 20 original pins to add each day. That's okay. And the other thing that you can do, which I also advocate for, is looping, because, if I'm pinning for a client 75 times per day, that's about 3,000 pins per month. There are only so many original pins on this planet about business tips and social media tips.
Yeah.
So what I have to do is this thing called looping, which means I take a pin that's at the bottom of that board or that profile and I bring it back to the top. So it's the same, because the thing is, if you see that one particular pin about, 5 things you need to know before you start a business is massively popular, then if you have that on your profile, that's now tied to you in the smart feed. You want to go ahead and repin that and bring that back up to the top.
So I can repin my own stuff, basically.
You can repin your own stuff, but here's the tricky part. What happens is, if you have all of these duplicate pins, which means, so for example, when you try to pin something on Pinterest, if you've already repinned it, you're going to get a little notification saying you already pinned this to this board. What you can do is you have to then delete that duplicate pin. So you might be pinning 3,000 times per month, because that's sort of like what you're going for, but 1,000 of those are looped pins. So you might not necessarily see 3,000 pins. You might see only 2,000 pins, but you still looped 1,000 pins. But it doesn't, so don't get obsessed with the number of pins that it shows. Think more about what am I actually doing.
Mm-hmm. I had a question, and all that looping stuff got me distracted and confused. I know what I was going to say. Isn't there a thing isn't there something about videos on Pinterest now? Like, isn't everybody having video everywhere? So what's happening with videos there?
Videos do not perform well on Pinterest. Okay. That being said, it's just a fact, they don't perform well on Pinterest. And also, if you try and directly upload them, a lot of times it's too large of a file, or Pinterest just dies out. So you have to link it back to a YouTube link or a Vimeo link. It's much easier. That being said, what I advocate is to have an original board of all of your content. That's the first board of your profile. So if that's a Donna Brown or a Kathy Lowenstern board, then go ahead and have all of your content, all of your blog posts, all of your videos, any images on that first board. And if you want to repin that, so if Donna has an article about business, she could repin it as well to the business tips board, but make sure she has it all on that first board. So if you have, for example, Biz Bites by Donna Brown, you want to go ahead and upload all of those videos as well, just because if someone is exploring that board, trying to figure out, who is this person? What do? They can still have it in one place. But that's not going to be what gets the most engagement in the smart feed, but it's still a good idea to have it anyway.
Okay.
So have like board and then repin from your master board to your specific
Exactly.
topic. Okay.
Exactly. And then what you can do also is you can have your original board on a continuous loop. So all of your old blog posts, all of your old articles, that you guest blogging spots, it's constantly being cycled through the feed. So it's constantly being seen.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, if somebody is a guest blogger for, has an article in HuffPost, which I think almost everybody in the planet does by this point, like, okay. Do you pin the article on HuffPost, or when you repost it in yours?
So what you can go ahead and do is you can pin the article from Huffington Post, but a lot of those images are, small horizontal images, so it might not perform as well. What you could go ahead and do is you could make a vertical pinnable image that's optimized and talks about the topic to go ahead and send people directly to Huffington Post. Or what you could do is you could have that article and then you could share it on your own blog. Obviously, there are rules with that, so you might need to write originally shared at Huffington Post on this date to it. But then have it on your blog, because what's going to happen is when people click to that and they go to your blog, you now have them on your website. So now then it's up to you to make sure that you can get people to bounce to other pages on your website, or you can get people to enter in their email, things like that. So that's what I would do there.
I just took my blog posts down from my website. I'll put them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't want to keep, because I was tired of writing blog posts. So I just thought, okay, I will just get rid of them.
Well, the great thing is you can take a lot of your Facebook content and you could turn it into blog posts. I see some people where what they do is they make one really long blog or Facebook post a day, and then they just copy and paste it and throw it up onto their blog. So, maybe you decide that you want to dissect it a little bit more, because things that do really well on Pinterest are like how-tos or like the 5 things you need to do. So just take your Facebook page, tweak it a little bit, and throw it up on your blog.
Well, that's kind of, and everybody has different feelings about. Some people love to blog, but I hated the listicles. Those are listicles, and they drove me nuts. So it wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I was doing it for EverCoach, and I ended up giving up because it just was too boring. Finer minds in EverCoach.
Well, I think a lot of people think, I have to blog 3 times a week, or I have to blog Monday through Friday. That's not the case. If you just want to blog once a week, that's perfectly fine, but just have a consistent schedule so that your readers know, okay, every Monday, Donna is going to email me with the new blog post, or, if I go up on Tuesday night, there will be a new blog post. So just be consistent about it, and don't let it be something stressful. And so if you just hate writing original blog post listicle content, then go ahead and look at your Facebook content, which might be a little bit more free-flowing or organic, and then just, tweak it a little bit for
Very good advice. What platforms have we left out? What did we leave out? Did we skip anything?
We haven't talked much about Twitter.
Okay.
Twitter is something I see a lot of people avoid. I think that Twitter is great for networking and building connections, just because you can directly tweet a journalist. You can directly tweet a business owner, a brand. There was the statistics where it talked about how if a consumer tweets a brand on Twitter, they expect a response in less than an hour. And so I see all these crazy stories of, for example, there was this boy who tweeted Kit Kat because someone broke into his car in college and left this note saying, "I'm sorry, I was really hungry. I took her Kit Kat, but I didn't take anything else." And so he tweeted that picture to Kit Kat, and Kit Kat sent him 6,500 Kit Kats. Like, literally, he posted a picture. His car was full of boxes of Kit Kats. And that's great for Kit Kat, because that's an amazing marketing story that's going to be on
that cost them almost nothing.
Retweeted. Yeah, that's going to be amazing. But if he didn't have that direct access to tweet, the Kit Kat Twitter account, which like you can still message a Facebook page with a consumer request, but that's private. You can direct message Instagram, but that's private. Twitter has this automatic sharing capability, and also I think Twitter really sets the trends. But people don't realize that. So a lot of like viral hashtags or viral videos, things like that, they originate on Twitter, but then they migrate to other platforms. So a lot of times with Twitter, what I'll see coaches do is they'll have their entire thing automated, where it's just like They write a tweet for each blog post, and then it just cycles through, and they never really hop on Twitter and engage. So if you don't have the time to engage with Twitter, I would say just stay off of it, because if you're just constantly
the engagement is fun. That's the best part, right?
That's the best part. And if you're just putting out automated content, you're never going to gain any traction. So you might see someone with all these, 3,000 followers because they've been on Twitter for 5 years. Like, you don't have those followers because you're engaging with people. You have it because of the length of time you've been on there, or because, there's all these Twitter bots that are, spamming your account, but you're not actually making any connections. So if Twitter's too much for you, then just go ahead and stay off of it. But if you decide, I really want to get this guest blogging opportunity, I really want to go ahead and make my opinion known about this issue in the coaching industry, you can, at that person, and you can tell them directly. And it's amazing to have that level of communication, direct communication with virtually everybody right there, because most Twitter profiles by and large are public, whereas it's the complete opposite for every other profile. With your Facebook profile, you need to add someone, so I'm not going to go ahead and add, the president of the United States, or I'm not going to go ahead and add Anderson Cooper or, Beyonce on Facebook. I don't know that person, but I can directly tweet them, and sometimes I'll get a response for them. And that's especially the case with journalists, where you're seeing more and more that if they need some sort of, for example, they were trying to find this painting, back in the election. And so they tweeted out a picture of it. And, within a few hours, someone posted a picture and they're like, here, it's at this hotel. And so now journalists are using it to collect information. So you could then apply that to market research. You can go ahead and throw a question out there and get responses from people. But if you're like, well, where do I find these people? Again, just like Pinterest, use it like a search engine. Go ahead and search in the Twitter feed by hashtags or by mentions. If you are, going to write the word coaching industry, or what's A-Fest, that's the really big event, right? Search for A-Fest and then go ahead and make friends that way.
Okay, so having said that, now you've intimidated the crap out of us. So it's like, okay, and that. Honestly speaking, like, let's just be real here and not, and then just automate it. It's not that simple. It really isn't. Yeah. So for somebody who tries to do it, it's kind of a little bit of an uphill climb. So to be really present on let's not go crazy here. 3 platforms. Okay. 3 platforms. How much time do you really honestly think people need to pick? Because this thing, I've planned my content for the next 90 days in 45 minutes. It's like, okay, you wrote titles.
All of those people are liars. All of those people are liars.
Exactly.
Anyone who says it is a liar. Okay, so in terms of Facebook business pages, I think Kathy will probably agree with me on this, that the algorithm just does not favor business pages, at all. Like, you're going to be so suppressed. Like, the only thing that could possibly save you is really original content marketing. But even there, it's going to be an uphill battle. That being said, you cannot neglect your business page, because it is that front line that shows that professionalism. And so, most consumers, when they make a purchasing decision these days, about half of consumers go to check social media. And especially in our industry, where so many people make connections via Facebook groups, they are going to check out your business page. So you can't neglect it, and you have to have something up there.
Yeah. And not only because that's where you're retargeting, like, your audience is like that's the page. It doesn't go from your group. You can have 14,000 people in your group. You need 500 people on your business page to retarget that audience. Kathy will teach us, right, Kathy?
Yes.
Because you can't retarget your group.
Oh yeah, if you want to,
right? It's your page. Yeah. So
I think what's more important is just the curbside value, the curbside appeal. That your business page should look professional.
Yes.
That's all you can use it for. You could target the people who like it, but I don't think it's nearly as effective as your website visitors or your email list.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to the actual hours that it actually really takes, because let's say I have to, let's just be real here, because, let's say I'm doing, to prepare 10 pins a day seems ambitious, or you'd have to just do content days or something. Like, how does that work? Like, tell us in real life so that people can feel either much worse or better.
Okay, so I'm definitely a big fan of batch scheduling things. So with Facebook, what I'll go ahead and do is I will plan out, because I always think of Facebook as the hub of content. So I will plan out a week's worth of Facebook content, and I'll go ahead and schedule it. And then I will find ways to tweak that for Instagram, and then I'll plan out the Instagram content. So if you decide that for your Facebook page, you're going to post once a day, Monday through Friday, then take those 5 posts and you can go ahead and schedule them. And that's something that you can reasonably do in less than an hour. And so here's another really great tip. Any previous content that you posted, go back and find all of that, save it, tweak it, and then go ahead and schedule ahead. Just because with your business page, you don't have this pressure of responding real time to live issues or changes the way that you make on your personal profile. You know, it's not so there's not the sense of urgency. It's more very specific to you and what you're doing. That being said, obviously, the more you're posting on your business page, the better, just because it's more of a constant stream of content and it does look more professional. But if you just want to do once a day, Monday through Friday, then that's fine. Go ahead and stick with that. And you can do that in under an hour. And so if you don't have a social media scheduler, you can schedule it directly in the Facebook business page. So that can already be scheduled for you. And then for Instagram, it's the same thing. If you find, you know, I can only do once a day, Monday through you'll upload all the images ahead of time and the captions and what time you want to post it, and then it'll send you a notification that it's time to post, and then it'll click through to Instagram and the caption will be copied on your clipboard, and then you just paste and it's done. You know, copy and paste your hashtags, and that's, again, something that's not going to stress you out too much. And then for Pinterest, what I like to do is I really like to do you know, batch scheduling for that, just because of the sheer volume of pins. So I'll do it in 2 to 3 hour blocks. And again, this is something that's, you know, more personal for you. If you decide I can only do 20 pins per day, then, you know, that's 600 pins per month. That's very manageable. That's something that you can do in a few hours. If you're going to do 75 pins per day,
are they all scheduled? So you schedule for the whole month?
You can schedule them. What I recommend doing is a little bit of a mix, just because Pinterest schedulers are so finicky, and they don't have the same analytical capability. They don't have the same reporting capabilities, that it's not something like where you could print out, you know, these are all of the things that I posted on Instagram or Facebook. It's just not like that. So what I do is a healthy mix between scheduling repins, manually going in and adding pins, because you'll see little surges from all of that quick boost of engagement, and then also looping pins. So that's one platform where I wouldn't get too stressed about analytics, just because, like, it's overwhelming for anybody with Pinterest. So I would say I wouldn't do like just batches of, oh, I'm going to pin 20 times right now, and then I'll pin next Monday for 20 times. Find a scheduler if you can. They're very cheap for the most part. So you can do Tailwind, you can do Board Booster, and then you can use that to go ahead, and what it does is it'll take it either from a secret board and then it'll move it to the correct board. I think that Buffer does have Pinterest capabilities, but it's very complicated, and it brings you down time-wise. So if you find that supplementing all of that scheduling with short little bursts is going to make timing easier for you, then go ahead and do that. But what I would say is, you know, start with 20 pins per day, and then just take a scheduler, and then, you know, maybe for an hour a week you can do that. Or, you know, if you decide I want to go on Pinterest for 5 minutes a day, then do that. But I think with anything, you know, whether it be a business task or a social media task, if you spend an hour on Facebook, then spend that hour and an hour. You know, don't go. You could be on, get paid to be on social media forever. So just go ahead and make that decision that, you know, I'm going to schedule things, and I'm not going to spend more than 3 hours a week scheduling things, and that's totally possible. And then obviously you're going to have additional time on social media engaging, but you don't have to worry about the actual content itself that's getting published, except for Facebook groups.
Yeah, I find that Facebook posts, like if you start thinking about them, they take me a while to write. Like I'm I write a lot, but I'm not always the fastest writer. Like I don't just rip things off and like I guess I think about what I write or something. I assume that people who write quickly do as well, but I just think that producing the content, looking for images, preparing like the images for Instagram, like if you want to put some writing on overlays, and if you want to do, and then you're resizing for Pinterest. And so I don't know that I actually believe it, because I just know that those, I'm sorry to say that. I just know that it takes me longer to do things than that. It's just like, okay, like I'll just sit there on Canva or whatever, and then I'll do a whole bunch. I think I've done all this stuff, right? And then I look at it, it's like, wow, I've only done 5 images resized for, 4 platforms. It's like, well, that's no big deal. And and now you just told me like 10 pins a day. It's like, okay, that's almost like doing the photo research for that, producing your own photos, or doing even just research for images.
Well, what I'm talking about,
that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. Like, no, I was talking the original, right? So what's original?
Yeah, well, with original pins, that's not something you need to have I need to produce this content kind of mentality. It's, oh, I have a new blog post, then I'll make a new pinnable image. But you don't need to make quote images for Pinterest. You don't need to share pictures of yourself, your life behind the scenes on Pinterest, because it's not going to do well. People want to be taught something on Pinterest. So if you have a blog post, then go ahead and make an image. But other than that, don't stress about making original content for Pinterest. I would instead focus more on the repins.
Okay. I lost you there.
Hello?
Yeah, lost you there. Okay, now Donna? I can hear you. Yeah, okay, now I can hear you.
Sure. So I would just say that with business Instagram, business Facebook page, it only needs to be a few times a week, so don't stress yourself out. Groups are much different. Groups, if you're going to be in it 3 times a day in each group, then that is going to be much more time consuming. And so then that's again where you have to make the decision. Do I want to be in 4 groups? Do I want to be in 5 groups? Do I want to be in 10 groups? That I'm going to build up my group, and that's, where I'm going to put most of my focus. That's completely different. That's just, one of them is like your professional business, and then the other one is go on that 4th. And so that's also why with Facebook groups, you need to have different types of posts, because you can't be posting, 3 different new posts teaching someone something a day, because eventually you're just going to
burn out.
So you have to mix it up. Yeah. Some people are like, oh, quotes are so annoying. But you know what? That person is probably posting more than you are, meaning that they're going to be seen more. They're going to build more connections. The algorithm's going to favor them. So you can roll your eyes at that quote image all you want, but they're posting more than you. So they're getting more engagement than you.
I like a good quote more than I like a crappy post. Let's put it that way. I would rather a good quote than a lousy post.
Yeah.
Right?
Or maybe you just want to
just to, like, when I'm looking at other people's things, and as well as my own stuff, like I would rather find something that I find inspiring or thought-provoking, or that was said by somebody. Please, everybody, cite your sources. I hate that stuff when people just write things and it looks like they've written, they put a logo on it. It looks like they've written it when they haven't. That drives me nuts. It's also called plagiarism, but hey, it's because it's very, very misleading. So yeah, I don't know. I hate that. That's one of my pet peeves. But I do, as I said, I love a good quote. Like I love good quotes, like funny ones, ironic ones, sarcastic ones, thought-provoking ones, whatever. I mean, I'm just very, very, very open, basically, because if you like literature, I guess, and just in general, it's just interesting to know what people think and what other people have thought, and how, and if they've said something very well, why not use it? I actually like them, so I don't tend to roll my eyes at them too much. I rolled my eyes at when they're like, people just do them. They don't maybe make great choices, but that's their own editing abilities and their own writing abilities. And that's not obviously going to be the same for everybody. But,
and maybe you just want to have a quick image of your desk or something that you found funny that day. You don't need to be constantly posting all of these long form. So definitely find ways to break it up for yourself by, maybe, again, you can plan your group posts out ahead of time, which is what I do with my clients, where I say, okay, I'm going to be in, these 8 groups for them, posting 3 times a day. I'm going to have, one sales post a day, one inspirational post a day, one quote image a day, or, one teaching post. And I can plan all of that out based on their previous content or based on content that I have scheduled for their Facebook page coming up. And that's the other thing where you can go ahead and reshare things in groups because, one, new people are constantly being added to the group. And two, because there's 6,000 people in a group, just because you posted something does not mean all 6,000 people saw it. So go ahead and bring it back.
Yeah, not even the group leaders posts get seen. Not everybody even sees all of those. So it's very, very interesting that this has been super helpful. But it's just, so I was sort of in my head, that's about, that's more than 10 hours work for sure, if you're starting to cultivate groups and stuff. The whole, I would say 10 to 15 hours a week. It's like it's a part-time job. But it is your audience. It's lead generation in some way, right? It's a way of cultivating and finding these people for you to talk to and show something, right? You have to do something. And since all of these platforms are free, Kathy, you make a lot of noise when you do that.
I do?
Yeah. Against the fabric. That's okay. But it's just, it's because these things are free, right? You have free access to this information, and whether you hire somebody to help you do it or not, that's different. But basically, because you have free access, there's kind of a lot of legwork involved, right? There's nothing, even scheduling, like everything takes time. Everything always takes more time than I think, so I'm not great at that. But and I think that go ahead. So tell what you think about how the amount of time people spend on social media. It can be fun, but it can also be draining.
If you're stressed, then I think it might be time to outsource or to get training. Maybe you don't need to hire someone, but you just need to talk to them and get a clear plan on your specific accounts. Maybe that's just talking to them for an hour. It doesn't need to be this whole huge thing. But I think a lot of times the people who are anxious about Facebook groups specifically are the people who post and run, and they don't genuinely like being in Facebook groups. So you have to shift your mindset around social media and start understanding that, a business needs two things to succeed. It needs marketing and sales. And in our specific industry, the way to make sales is through marketing. And obviously, if you have a terrible product, it doesn't matter how talented I am on social media. Like, the quality of your product is going to be held up by the market, but you need to still have that investment in social media and understand that it's the avenue for you to make those sales, for you to do the work that you're passionate about, for you to make these connections. It's going to take your business to the next level. So you need to be happy about posting in Facebook groups and think about it like, wow, I'm so excited that I get to, post in this person's group today and share it with all these people. And so if you think about it as a fun thing, you're going to enjoy it way more. And again, sort of what I said at the beginning is, I think a lot of the root of dissatisfaction, disillusionment, stress, overwhelm with social media is a lack of knowledge, a lack of information about social media. And, people trying to do too many things at once with all different strategies. And it's just like, a chicken running around without a head. So, make a plan for it and then just go with it and enjoy it.
Excellent. Because I have you both here, last thing, and I'll let you go because we've gone a little bit over. But what relationship do you see, and how do you see the synergies between Facebook ads, paid ads, and your various social media, the various platforms? Like, how can they work together efficiently in a campaign, even if the campaign is even for a free challenge? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be for your big launch, the big mega launch.
Well, I can say something, and then Kathy can obviously give feedback. I'd love to hear from you. But I think there's organic marketing, free marketing, and then there's paid marketing. So when I talk about social media management, social media marketing, I'm primarily talking about free organic marketing. And so I think what is really going to do well, the synergy that you need to see with a Facebook ad is you need to have valuable content when you do go ahead and get people into that challenge or send people to that landing page or whatever you're doing. You still need to have that professional front, and it is possible to, promote. So if you're, for example, running a Facebook ad for some sort of challenge, yes, you can go ahead and pay someone to do that, and it's an amazing way to grow your business very quickly. But you can still, if you're not in a position to do that yet, you can still go ahead and promote that via alternative avenues. And that being said, the reach that you might have with the Facebook ad, if someone is specifically looking at the people on your page or something like that, as opposed to something different like visitors on your website, then, your engagement on Facebook is going to be important. And I think when we talk about Facebook ads, sometimes people get it confused with boosted posts, which, you just put $5 to boost a post that you put to your page because it's performing well. That is something that you can do. And so what I would say about that is if you do boost a post, whatever you're going to post after that boosted post is going to have higher visibility just because, the algorithm is seeing that a lot of people want to interact with your page right now. So I would do a sales post after you do any sort of boosted post. But I think that they can definitely go hand in hand. But at the end of the day, you just need to have good, solid, strong content marketing.
Kathy.
I completely agree. And I think that you need to do the ads that I see perform the best are brands or, people, whatever you want to call them, that already have done some kind of organic content marketing, if you will. It doesn't matter what platform, because they've already built their audiences. And then the ads do two things. One, it amplifies that message. And then two, with Facebook, even though in Google, they all say they don't, but they favor their advertisers. So once you start advertising, you just see all this other organic reach starting to grow too. So I think it's, while I love advertising, it's also critical to build that organic piece as well. And then they work in tandem, and it's really, really explosive.
Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I think I'm going to wind it down here because we've kept Sabrina on and up. It's pretty late where she is. She's in Bali, and it's quite late at this point. It must be 12:30 or something.
How's February 3rd looking?
Sorry?
Oh, yeah, it's Friday. Hello from the future. It's a good day so far.
Exactly. It's a different date. Anyways, I just wanted to thank Sabrina and Kathy. And I just wanted to remind people that the point of this whole mastermind and these this one was just sort of like an open discussion about social media platforms, is just to get you an idea of what would happen if you start putting a group of experts in the same room. And today you have 3 experts talking about business in general and posing questions and trying to get answers and trying to figure things out into a whole strategy, sort of a global holistic strategy for your business, which quite often I think is missing. And which is why I really wanted to bring this blast off, this business accelerator to life, custom solutions for your business, just because I feel that it's really, really needed, that no matter how great a lot of programs are, no matter how great a lot of sort of spot coaching and individual experts are on their own, there's also something very magical that happens when there's a synergy of people and expertise all working for the same end. And that does happen now, but it's in a little bit, it's usually up to the client to sort of pick and choose and get some people together, hoping that they work out, but they don't actually ever speak to each other. So that's another thing that I'm trying to break down, this barrier where the social media expert doesn't speak to the Facebook ads expert, but not because they don't want to, it's just, but there's just no habit of conversation. And but sometimes a lot of people have said no, like if they're working with 2 business coaches, I'll say I'm up to a conversation, and then the general attitude is no is no, because it would take them more time. So they're giving you timed calls, so this would be one of an extra call for them to do. But I think that it's a very limited view of business and the way things are moving, because although we are all solo entrepreneurs, we're social animals. We're not meant to be doing things all by ourselves in this little sort of, very intimate relationship with my computer and almost nothing else, right? And I think that this is sort of the next evolution of the way people do business online, is a lot more co-creation, but in a lot more collaborative way, in these very sort of open and flexible sort of configurations, let's put it that way, of teams that come together for specific projects, whether it's for one person's specific business, or whether it's to create something unique together. Anyway, so I'm hoping that you found it useful, and you can find me at donnabrown.com, and at Big Bang Business Strategies is the Facebook group. Sabrina Philipp, you can find her at sabrinaphilipp.com. Kathy Lowenstern, where did they find you?
KathyLowKnows.com.
Kathy Low Knows. And so we're all everywhere, and I will throw up those links I will add them in the email for the replay, but do come and check us out. And we'd love to talk to you about making your business even better than it is already. Bye, guys.